Howdy, this here's Chief Jones. I got my little headsets on. I need a new set. If anybody wants to buy me a good one I can make phone calls on and do videos on, I'll accept your donation. Yay! Well, I'm kind of new to YouTube, and say in the last 6 weeks, I've kind of got into a thunderstorm with a single YouTuber. I'm still learning all this lingo. And no, I'm not the boogeyman, and I'm not a bad guy. I'm a chief of police. I retired twice as chief of police, and once as a chief deputy constable. I did a tour of duty as a U.S. Marshal and a Texas Ranger in a dual certification at the same time at the same location in North Texas. And I'll tell you more about that, but I'm trying to get out as many videos as I can, short a period as I can, to help the most people I can. I know that's a lot of talk. Hey, if you get a chance, go by my church website, www.sovereignchurchofjesus.com. If you're not a Christian, there's still a lot of information about the government and how the government and Christianity intertwine since before the foundation of our country all the way to current times. Okay, so there's a secular remedy to everything, and there is a religious remedy to everything. People say, oh, he's off his cracker. No, and by the way, there's two separate dual systems of law operating side by side, parallel. One side is this statutory person, and the other one is the real man. I seen a diagram on this one time, probably in about 2007, something like that. It was a perfect diagram. I wish I had a copy of it, but they both have their own set of rules and regulations, but this is a category of person, this is a category of person. Like this is the state republic citizen, a state citizen, and this is a 14th Amendment citizen. And they go like this here, but each has its own elements, and they're treated very differently in the state system and the federal system, but you have to make recognition of that, and I'm going to do as many videos as I can to explain that more in detail. And I know some people say, well, how could you be a cop and how could you be a minister and this, that, and the other? Well, I was a minister first, or let me say I was a lay minister, or I was a student of Christ from the age of 9. And then when I got to be 14 or 15, I got an ROTC, and I've become a Dallas Police Cadet. And yes, I was a very big kid for my age, and most people took me for a cop, and I acted like a cop and was treated like a cop from age 14 or 15 through about almost 18 in Dallas. The officer treated me that way, the citizen treated me that way, and we acted in a lawful way, or a much more lawful way in the late 70s, and not all this militaristic stuff like they got going on today. But if you go by my church website, it explains a lot of that, and I keep doing all these videos on the Constitution, what cops do and what they don't do, what they should and shouldn't do, and as a citizen what you should do when you're pulled over versus what you probably do, okay? And explain to you what the Fifth Amendment really means. It's the right not to self-incriminate, and you don't have to produce any evidence against yourself. So in saying that, say if the police come up and supposedly they've made this so-called traffic stop, which doesn't really exist in the civilian world, but so they do it anyway. And they say to you, I need a driver's license, registration, insurance. And you say, I'm taking the Fifth. Well, someone's going to take this approach. Well, I've ordered you to do this, and you're obstructing. Well, they can't turn your Fifth Amendment constitutional right. They can't convert that into a crime. It don't matter what the state law says. If it's repugnant to the Constitution, it's null and void. Now, you don't have to, but if you take just a bit of wisdom here and say to them, sir, the Fifth Amendment also includes the right not to build a case against myself, which means you're asking for documents and papers. And what the Fifth Amendment means, I don't have to produce papers or documents to you or talk to you. There's different forms of communication. I don't have to communicate by performance, going and looking for these instruments, and or giving them to you or talking to you, and that's the right that I'm exercising. And if you're going to threaten me and arrest me, then you're converting a constitutional right into a crime, which is forbidden by law. But I'm not going to offer no violence. I don't want to wind up a statistic. I don't want to wind up dead. And the police have a habit of killing people for exercising constitutional rights, and I don't want to be the next one of them. So I know you got a job to do. You do it, but I ain't going to help you do it. And just wait there and see what happens. You know, that's just a suggestion. I tell people it's a shame that I got to sit there and do this legal disclaimer, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I ain't been a lawyer. I ain't been a judge. Don't plan on being a lawyer or a judge. I plan on being a man, a minister of the gospel. And I served as a peace officer, but that was kind of hijacked and converted into law enforcement, which is enforcement, revenue. You know, prop up in the propaganda, prop up the tent, prop up the city hall, prop up the county and the state and the federal government. We're the all-seeing eye. You know, we're going to squeeze your labor and your money out of you so that we can get more money and more powerful. Well, that's bull crap. It's bull crap. And when I dealt with city managers and dealt with other people, I told them repeatedly, nope, I ain't no revenue machine. If a ticket comes, it comes. If it don't, it don't. But the more I studied it, I began to understand that these uniform traffic citations, they like to call them, in traffic stops, do not exist lawfully in civilian world. If you're a man or woman and you have an automobile, and that's a household good, and you utilize that for your personal use, for your personal entertainment, or go back and forth to work, it's yours to do as way as you fit, and you can use the common passageway. Now, if you go down and put a registration on it, per my understanding, then that changes the status from automobile to vehicle, which means it's in commerce. So you're stating, basically under penalty of perjury, depends on what the state law says, that you are making that an automobile into a for-hire vehicle, okay? Which means you're going to carry goods or services, and then you're going to charge money for it. So then you got to go get a driver's license. So the guy that drives the big truck and the guy that drives the bus and you're all in commerce now, okay? So you should be able to reverse the current. The Navy, which I wasn't in the Navy, but I know people retired from there, and the Navy has a good explanation for things. However things get here, the way to do it is unwind it, reverse it, and it goes back as it was. Well, that's easy to say, but when you go to the government and you say, look, I want to deregister my car, I want the title of origin and the original title of ownership, they're going to fight you and fight you and fight you, because that's considered an asset of the state, so they own a portion of your car. Okay? And they don't want to give it up. Okay? But there is a way and a method to do it, and people have done it. Okay? And then you give back your driver's license and you say, I am undoing this contract. This is a adhesion contract, and you didn't disclose all the information. You didn't tell me about it. You made me believe that even though I was a civilian, I had to have it. You lied to me. You have committed fraud upon me, and I'm not in commerce. So I'm undoing this driver's license, because if this license stays in their system, then eventually it's going to expire. And then the police are going to say under the state statute, your license expired, so we're going to take you to jail for driving on no license because it's expired. So it's got to come completely out of the system so that you have no driver's license at all, period. And when you have no driver's license and you have no registration, and when the police stop you, you're completely silent. And if they take you to jail, then you file an abatement to abate the process and abate what they've done, and then you win. Then you can turn around and sue the police officer in his personal capacity and private capacity, and you can sue all the way up the chain of command. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm saying you could do it, or you could not do it. Depends on who you are. And I like to say, This is what I do, or what I would like to do, or what I believe I would do if I was in these situations. Now, at the same time, every man must decide for himself on an individual basis what is best for him. If paying, if you prorate it out, $20 a year for a driver's license, and between $40 and $85 for a registration and tag on your car, so $100, $110. If it's easier for you to do that and to get along, and you feel like that's the best option for you, hallelujah, Jesus, do it. Okay? If your morals, your principles, and ethics say, they lied to me, they tricked me, I don't like it, then you file the papers and you get deregistered and get your automobile taken off their records. Get your driver's license removed from their records. And maybe even go to the step of posting that at the county courthouse, recording it as a record with a time, date, and stamp, sending that to your local police or your DPS or your highway patrol, and sending them registered copies, so that when they stop you and so forth, you can present that paper if you choose to and say, look, I've done all my due diligence. I've deregistered these things. I filed it with the state, and the county. I've notified the police. And so now, if you stop me or you arrest me or you do stuff, then it's no longer in good faith, and I'm going to come after you and sue you. Okay? So take your chances. Just a thought. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. None of these things. I am God's representative to man and his servant government. Now, his servant government is rabid. Okay? You don't deal with a rabid rabbit. That sucker can move fast and bite you, and it'll hurt, and it'll be bad. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So I'm not a professional YouTuber guy. I'm just kind of learning how to do this, and I got one video out where I'm so mellow that if you didn't know no better, you'd think I was high as a cat or drunk or something, stoned, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll have this video on here, then I'll get some more videos. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is, I think you should see me, that there's a side of me that's calm and mellow, and there's a side that's forward and aggressive, if you will, passionate. I think like a passionate. Okay, I'm a real good communicator. Some of that I learned in the academy, as in getting a message across. But in the academy, they teach you one way. You're the cop, you control everything, you run everything. You're the director, you're the producer, you're the editor, you're the decider. And if it don't go your way, so that's not a closed communication. That's not a circle communication where there's listening and talking and thinking. Analytical thinking, think, then talk, listen, and work it out, and then make the best decision you can. Okay? That's me. Okay? That's always been me. But the academy, they're just like, tell them, okay, you spend about 30 seconds listening. That's really all a cop's going to do is 30 seconds. He's going to compartmentalize you, figure you out, and put you in a box in 30 seconds. So if you come off like you're a war veteran and you're squared away and you're uptight and you're a man's man and you got all your ducks in a row and you talk some good man talk to that good cop that's there, and he's this manly man, you got two good strong egos, but they don't try and overshadow each other, then probably that guy's going to go away from that, and that cop's going to pat him on the back and tell him what a great guy he is, and sorry we had to even stop you for the stop. Now you got the other guy over there says, hello, cop. I'm just letting you know I'm a sovereign citizen. Cop says, oh, crap. That guy may have a gun. He may have explosives. Because we were taught in the academy that people that say they're a sovereign citizen or even give that inkling, which that's an oxymoron anyway, danger, danger, danger. The world's coming to an end. You may have a terrorist on your hands. Okay, now the way I think and the way I know is that person studies the Constitution of their state, studies the national Constitution. They have maybe went back and looked at the letters from the founders of our country. They've gone back and looked at the Supreme Court decisions. They've analytically gone through it. They have a correct mindset, and they want to be left alone in their constitutional being. They want you to go away and don't be bothering them about frivolous little things and falsely assuming and presuming that they're in a vehicle and they're a driver and they failed to make a complete stop at a stop sign, or they got a tail light burn out, or they went 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, some frivolous thing, okay? Anyway, look, see, it says I've been on here just a little over 15 minutes. That's probably all you can take of me at one time. So I'm going to try and keep my videos short and sweet and do as many as possible. If you like me, tell everybody come see me. If you don't, well, then just don't watch no more. That's all I know to say. I don't cuss. I don't rant, rave. I'm passionate. I tell it like it is. I'm a truthful guy. Always been a truthful guy. Some people call me and say, "Oh, you're that dirty pig. You're a dirty pig." Well, I went in this to help people. I spent 39 years helping people. Yes, there were some people I wrote tickets to. I wasn't a big ticket writer, but I did write some tickets. Most of the people were going way, way, way incredibly fast, like 55, 60 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone in a residential district, okay? At some level, that's got to be unsafe. There may be more than one method to deal with this, but you can't let people take a 3,000 or 4,000 pound object like a gun and go willy-nilly down the roadway, okay? So there may be more than one method. That's another debate for another time, okay? But if you want to say, "Oh, he's a pig," pride, integrity, and guts, okay? I can play the victim as well as anybody, or I can play the perpetrator, or in between. Look, I know as a minister, I forgave a lot of people a lot of things in my lifetime, and I've asked a lot of forgiveness. So, if I've ever done anybody wrong, ask forgiveness, okay? Now, telling the truth and telling it like it is, I don't believe there's no ask forgiveness for that, because you told the truth and you told the way you believed it. Now, if you believe you didn't deliver it the right way, or you could have done it different, then state that. Try and be accurate, okay? So all I know to say, I love everybody that will let me love them. If you won't let me love you, well, I'll just love you at a distance, okay? And I'm going to be who I am and you be who you are, okay? I'm going to respect you and you respect me. If you call me dirty names, you talk bad about me, I'm not nobody's doormat, okay? So I might take a little abuse, but at some time I'll do whatever I need to take the appropriate action against you, and that may be calling you out, okay? So whatever it takes is what it takes, so long as it's within the law of God. And remember this, God is the only one that created life, so he has all authority over life, and he is the origin, the first. He's the original fountain of law. He gave the first laws in the Garden of Eden, and later the laws of Noah and the laws of Moses, and he gave different laws. Well, they made their secular law to comply with God's religious law, okay? So they're intertwined. But if man's law and God's law were in conflict, then man's law over here yielded and God's law stood. If man's law is consistent, then it can be parallel right here and run together. And there's no problem with it. Like God says, you shouldn't be a drunkard, okay? And they make some reasonable laws that say, a man can't run around being drunk in public. And God's law said no drunkard. A man shouldn't be a drunkard. Okay, well, those are consistent. But you can't, God says, have a little wine for thy stomach's sake. And man says, you can't have no alcohol at all. You can't even have no wine. Well, that's repugnant, because God said you could have some for your stomach, and a little bit was okay. Just don't be a drunkard. So that wouldn't work. That's contrary, okay? Anyway, there's so much on my mind. 39 years, retired twice the chief of police, once as a chief deputy constable, U.S. Marshal Service, Texas Ranger. I've done everything from answer the phone, hello, this is your local police department, to this is the office of constable or office of sheriff, or hey, you got a Texas Ranger here, come on. I've done everything. I've worked rape crisis intervention, which I'm the first man that this woman has seen, which men have been raped too, but it's normally a woman. I'm the first man she sees, so I've got to get her to try and deal with me as a man and chase after this rapist, and I've done it. But I also have to comfort her and nurture her and make sure she gets the support she needs, not just that day, but for weeks and months afterwards, and keep doing my due diligence, checking in with her, okay? I'm a peace officer. Keep the peace, her peace of mind, peace of the community, peace and tranquility. I know that technically I was a law enforcement officer at some point in time because they hijacked it, but I didn't act that way. I was acting as a peace officer, and I hope that when I die, I hope on my tombstone it says, preacher, man of God, something like that, and it says, the people's peace officer. Chief Jones, the people's peace officer. Okay? I'd like to be reminded that I'm a man of God, I'm his preacher, and I'm the people's original peace officer, meaning I'm the peace officer the founders intended to be. And I did the best I could. I made mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. But I assure you, if you knew my stories and the way that I've helped women and children and men over all these years that probably would have went to jail or to prison that I kept out, and all the judges I talked to on people's behalf, you would never call me a pig. You'd never say that sorry so-and-so, he's just like all the other cops. No, I'm the exception to the rule. You know, I used to say I'm a 1%er, I'm a 3%er. I'm the exception to the rule. But I've been trying to educate cops across the country how to act constitutionally. Some of them take to it, some of them don't. Some of them's been drilled in this head, this is how you act. So, anyway, I'm ranting and raving. I'm sorry. Let me let you go, and let me come back and do this another time. God bless you. Bye.